Namaste, Commander Clifford Parakh, and good evening. How are you?
I'm fine.
I can see the jack of all trades behind the ace of aces, the king of kings, and the queen of no place behind you.
That's correct.
What are all those cards about? Tell me.
Well, this is just my studio setup. I was doing Zoom shows, so I thought I'll do a little colorful setup at the back. So
Ah,
that's what I did. That's all. It's my living room.
oh, it's your living room. And
Yeah.
I like the way you use your word studio setup and all. You suddenly put more pressure on me. Right? I'm seeing a very important man, a naval commander turned illusionist who's taking the world into an illusion. And now turning into an author who's writing the book, Discover the Magician in You. Use the art of magic to transform your life. So, namaste and welcome once again, Commander Clifford Parakh. It has been an honor and a pleasure knowing you for many years now. And I really love the way you are moving from strength to strength and more strength to your shoulders. So, warm welcome to all the people who have joined us on Facebook Live. We are with Commander Clifford Parakh today, who's going to tell us more about his book. But before he tells us more about his book, I'm going to pose the simple question that we pose to all our authors. You know, Illusionist Clifford, as you call yourself now, right? And that's again a title. But if you had to get rid of all the titles that you earned, all the accolades and honors and awards that you earned over the years, right from your days as a naval commander to an illusionist to now an author, and say, okay, Clifford Parakh, what are those 7 descriptors that would define you as an individual, as a human being? What would those 7 descriptors be? Descriptors could be nouns, pronouns, verbs, adverbs, adjectives, roles, responsibilities, values, principles. What would those 7 descriptors be? They could be a word or a set of words.
And they have to be seven, huh?
Seven is a must. I mean, right? The magnificent 7, as we are called.
Okay, sir. Let me try. Well, I think hard work. I'm connected to hard work a lot.
There is no try. Can you try to pick up that ace of card, card, the ace of spades from behind? Can you try? You either pick it up or you don't pick it up. There's no try. So
Done.
you have to come up with 7. All right, all right. Over
Okay.
to you,
So,
Clifford
so
Parakh.
hard work is one.
Hard work
Yeah.
in a world where there's a rhetoric that don't work hard, work smart. You're still paying focus to hard work. What a loser you are.
That's what I've been doing all my life, actually.
Okay, and you worked very hard and made valuable contributions, is what I'm hearing you say without you saying it, right?
Correct.
Brilliant. And I was just joking with you. You're not a loser. You're the winner of winners, because hard work can never be replaced by smart work. Excellent, great start. Next,
Yeah. Then, of course, honesty.
honesty. You're saying all the things which don't work in today's world. I mean, look at Narendra Modi, right? Do you think would have become the Prime Minister of India if he was honest? Come on,
Yeah, that I
Clifford.
agree.
That's what makes people like you and me into losers. All right. Okay.
Then positive attitude.
Positive attitude. Okay. Okay. I won't interrupt you now. So go ahead
Yeah.
before you lose all those 7 uh, descriptors that you kind of thought about in your mind. I don't want to
Yeah, yeah,
disturb
yeah.
you. I'll
Yeah.
disturb you
Then
later.
action habit. I like to have an action habit. Don't want to think of something. I like to do it. I don't
A-
want to waste time.
what are you saying? Action habit.
Act, action habit. Yeah.
What can you just unpack that, please?
Yeah. Unpack that. I mean, if you have read the book Magic of Thinking Big, it talks about the action habit that we keep thinking of
Action
a lot of
habit. Mm,
action habit. Yeah. It talks about action habit means that we keep thinking about doing a lot of things, but we keep postponing it. We
okay,
don't
okay.
we don't do it immediately. But if you start immediately, then you will
Right.
at least finish it off. So I believe in that totally, and I start the work which I think of immediately. So I believe in a lot of action habit attitude.
And this is the name of a book, you said, Action Habit.
Sorry.
The Action Habit is the name of a book?
No, no. The Magic of Thinking Big is the name of a book,
Okay,
and
the
you must
magic of
of
thinking big. I
yeah, you
must
must
read this book
Oh,
because
it's a beautiful
it
book.
sounds very similar to what we talk about, ideas
Yeah,
for action. So I'm happy to know that I'm not the only author and coach who comes up with this simple terms and glossary just to confuse the audience or to convince them. Okay, great. Action habits. The entire thing is not just talks, ideas for action. You are a Rex Karmavir Global Fellow, so you know exactly how that works. So I'm going to read
yeah,
this book, The Magic of Thinking Big. Thank you for
yeah, yeah.
referring that book to me. Okay,
But
you completed 4.
it's nothing about magic. It's basically about real life. It's
I,
nothing
I
about magic.
I got that. I mean, when
Yeah,
you correlate action habits and the magic of thinking big, I understood that.
yeah. Then
I'm actually kind of getting a glimpse into what your book is going to be about.
so
Go ahead. I'm all
then
ears.
discipline is certainly my very important quality which I love to adhere to.
Okay.
Punctuality, of course, a part of discipline, but punctuality is another term totally, and I'm never late.
Okay.
Then I mean, taking care of my family, I'm very particular about that. I don't sacrifice that at all for any gain.
So what you're saying is you're a family man.
Yeah, certainly a family man. Certainly a
Okay.
family man.
Okay. That reminds me of that series on Netflix or Prime or Amazon Prime, the Family Man. Okay, brilliant,
Yeah,
brilliant. So that's 7. So let's
yeah.
let's let's reiterate that: hard work, honesty, positive attitude, action habit that you picked from this book called The Magic of Thinking Big, discipline, punctuality, and family man. Family man, I understood. I know you're very devoted to your family. Punctuality, I've understood, and discipline, I've understood, it comes from the Indian Armed Forces and the Navy, probably. But what do you mean by action habit and the
Uh,
magic of thinking big? How would you unpack that for me?
yeah. So what this book talks about is that like suppose I need to I have to do something.
Mm-hmm,
For example, I need to start writing a book. Okay. Example.
mm-hmm,
Many people
mm-hmm,
want to write books and they are thinking of writing a book all their lives and they will never write it. They only think of it.
mm-hmm. So what you're
So
saying is
so
don't procrastinate,
yeah.
don't just dream,
Start
do. If you
start.
can dream it, you can do it. But if you're not doing anything about it, it becomes a daydream. Is that
That's
what you're
it.
saying?
That's it.
Excellent, great, and that's a great way of unpacking it. Brilliant. Thank you, Commander Commander Clifford Parakh, for sharing those insights with me. It's added to my learning and it's enlightened me about action habits. There's another book called Atomic Habits, which I heard about last week, and
Correct. So it's a new
Atomic
book.
Habits, which we should read about how the small habits make the big difference. So before we dive deeper into your book, you had an interesting journey, right? And your journey as a naval commander to now being an illusionist, and now you're taking the plunge again into redefining yourself as an author, right? So I would like you to walk us through your journey, walk me and the people who have joined us on Facebook Live, and tell us more about your journey right from childhood to now, right? What is it about being Clifford Parakh, right? So what is it all about? Walk us through your life story, walk us through the journey of your life. So you have 9 to 10 minutes. It's your time. So over to you, Clifford.
So I started my journey doing my schooling in St. Joseph's Academy, Dehradun. 1988, I passed out of Dehradun,
Mm-hmm.
and after that, I immediately went into defense because my father himself was into the Indo-Tibetan Border Police. I was, as it is, from a defense background, and I was very inspired by my father's life and the discipline in the defense. So I plunged into being a defense officer. So I went into the National Defense Academy. I got selected into NDA and did 3 years in the National Defense Academy, followed by choosing the Indian Navy as my, arm. So I wanted to join the Indian Navy. That was what I wanted to join always. I got commissioned in the Indian Navy in 1991. Spent 22 years in the Navy. I specialized in gunnery, that is missiles, and gunnery was my specialization. Uh, After that, I finished the Navy because I was more, I was into a passion of magic, and I made a decision as to what shall I do. Shall I leave the Navy to follow my passion? At the same time, it was a very tough decision because, the Navy is a very secure job, and whatever I am today, actually, I'm because of the Indian Navy. So it was a big decision to make, but I decided to do it because you live only once, and I wanted to live my passion. If I live my passion after I retire at the age of 58 or 60, then it would be too late. You need to look young, you need to be young to do what you want. So I decided to leave the Navy after I took a premature retirement after doing 22 years in the Navy, and I started a career into magic. It was a tough going in the beginning, but slowly I picked up the strings. I'm a self-taught magician. I learned from books, from videos, and from performing practically. And of course, my mentor, who is also in Goa, he's also a magician, Mr. Edmundo Dacunia. He inspired me a lot. He taught me a lot. And that's how I became a magician. And uh, I started performing professionally. And that's all. And then I got the Karamveer Chakra Award from Rex. I met you. I got the Silver Award in 2019. It was a great turning point. I met such lovely people. During the pandemic, I also I tried to write a book, which I succeeded after 2 years of the pandemic, and I managed to get my name in the India Book of Records as the only individual to perform for the blind on radio. That was also through a contact from Rex. I knew the person in Rex who was also, running a radio channel, and that's how, because of the contacts I had at Rex, that I was able to achieve this feat. So that's it. Today, I'm a full-time illusionist, and I love my job. And in fact, I don't work at all because what I do is my passion. I don't work at all. I love to do what I do. So that's it. That's where I'm standing today in 2022.
Excellent, Brother Clifford, and thank you for sharing your story. So, what inspired you to join the Indian Navy? At what age did you decide you want to join the Indian Navy?
I was 16 years old when I was in NDA, and I spent 3 years in India. In India, you get a chance to choose any of the three forces: the Army, Navy, or the Air Force.
Right.
So when you join, though you give a particular, choice of your force, but you can always change because you see the different forces, the traditions in the different forces. You meet officers from the different forces, and you might decide to change. So you're given a decision.
Mm.
But when I went into the Navy, when I went into NDA, I found that Navy was the correct, force for me because I first of all, I loved the uniform. And then the sea was always, I was always a very magical person, and the sea always attracted me.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to join the Navy. And moreover, I like the technical part of the Navy. It's very, very technical, and I love physics and math. So that's another thing which I wanted to join the Navy for.
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing with computers, you're dealing with machines, and always physics and math attracted me. So that's the reason I, continued in the Navy, and I'm really happy that I continued in the Navy. So that's it. That's how I reached the Navy.
So, how long did you serve in the Navy, and what are the positive, significant contributions that you can say are your legacy while you were in the Navy? I wanted to share this for the enlightenment of all our young participants who would be watching this, so that they can be inspired to join the Indian Armed Forces.
In the Navy, I took gunnery as my profession.
Right,
Basically,
right.
you have
You
to
said
take
that,
one.
yeah.
You have to take one specialization. So I took gunnery as my specialization, and I had the opportunity of creating history in missile firing because I fired the only salvo missile. Salvo missiles are two missiles you fire together for practice. Of course, you do all this for practice because only in the war you practice you fire a warhead.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the opportunity of firing two missiles in consecutive successions. It was the first salvo firing after independence.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a practice firing, and that was one very important landmark in my naval career. And the Navy has contributed everything to what I am today. When I perform, I realize that the personality I am today, I was not when I was 16 years old. It is the Navy who has made me a confident person like I am today.
And how many
So
years altogether in the Navy?
22 years. 22 years.
22 years. 22 years. So the 22 years has really shaped Clifford Parakh into being Clifford Parakh that you are today.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Brilliant, very nice. So what is your advice or guidance or guiding principles for all our youngsters who today want to only take corporate jobs or become entrepreneurs because they want to make money, and the Indian Armed Forces are losing out on recruiting people who could really kind of make positive contributions in the Indian Armed Forces? What is the reason that you would what is the advice that you would give them, and the reasons that they should join the Indian Armed Forces? I can give many, but I would like it from your perspective as a person who served in the Indian Navy for 22 years.
Yeah, see what happened when I joined the Navy in 1980 and 91. Joining the defense was in the priority 3 or 4 amongst the youngsters from the top.
Right,
3 or 4 was the priority. Today, I think it is 16th or 17th because people don't want to join the defense.
right.
I don't know the reason for that. I myself am in Goa.
It doesn't
Goa has
pay.
got
It doesn't pay too much. So
yeah, I really don't agree with that because the Navy doesn't really pay you when you work. It pays you till you die.
no,
Today I've left.
and that's what I wanted you to clarify for the youngsters. That's why it
Yeah,
doesn't pay too much, because today everybody is enamored by get rich quick, the fame and the name and the wealth that you can create by working in the corporate sector or doing some quick fixes as entrepreneurs who do startups with jugaad and stuff like that. And that's what I wanted to clarify. So I like what you said, that it doesn't pay you just while you're serving, but it pays you for a lifetime. Please elaborate more on that.
yeah. Basically, today I'm a illusionist, but I'm getting my pension.
Right.
During the pandemic, I didn't have to worry about anything because I'm an ex-naval officer. I don't have
Mm,
to worry about money
mm,
because I'm
mm,
getting my pay every month. So
mm,
which corporate will pay you like that? In fact, in the pandemic, people kicked people out, because in the corporate they couldn't manage people, right?
mm, mm.
But the defense, even if I've left the defense, I keep getting my money. So which corporate will do that? Nobody. So defense, I feel, is the right choice for a person who likes adventure, a person who enjoys traveling the world. So I would strongly recommend that you should. In Goa, I'm living in Goa. It's got the largest air base in Asia,
Right,
but there are hardly any people from Goa joining the Navy.
right.
So I don't know the reason. So I would strongly recommend that please think about joining the defense. It's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, in Goa, most people join the merchant navy, right?
Yeah, or they
Uh,
join catering
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something
yeah.
on those lines. So I don't
especially
know.
especially Catholic boys or makapaus like me, right? I mean, they like to go in the merchant navy, not as officers or engineers, but as basic crew even today, because
True, sir.
they keep their aspiration levels very low. Anyway,
I agree.
that's a different topic altogether. So
I
there's no consciousness of even serving the country or serving
No,
in
no.
the navy. That's most of the Goan youth for you, and especially the Goan Catholic youth. And that reminds me, a lot of people with a name like Clifford actually think that you are a Macapao, just like me. And since you stay in Goa, it kind of reinforces that Clifford Parakh is a Macapao. But
True,
hey,
true.
here's a revelation for all of you, all the people who joined us on Facebook Live. Clifford Parakh is not a Macapao. Clifford Parakh is a mad Bawa. So tell us a little more about your family, yeah, Clifford, and what was it like growing in the Parsi community, and where were the best years of your life? I mean, the wonder years of your life. Where were
Actually,
you raised?
I was raised in Dehradun.
Right,
My dad, in fact, my dad was from the Parsi side, and my mom was a Christian. So the Parsi name has come down.
right,
Parak is a Parsi name,
right.
so that's how the name has come down. But we follow Christianity,
Okay,
and I was mainly raised in Dehradun for most of my life. That's how it is. Mother and father, dad was in the ITBP, mother was a housewife. Also, she served in St. Joseph's Academy, the school I taught in, as a secretary of the school. And that's it. And we were, a Fauji family, living like Faujis. And then I got married to Radhika, my wife, at 1996. And I have a son, Kevin, who's now 22 years old. And my wife has supported me. In fact, my whole family members have supported me in what I do, especially in magic. My wife has, contributed a lot because it was a big risk to leave the Navy. And she was the one who gave me the, go green signal that no, you should do what you love. Just forget it, try it out, and I'm sure it will work. So that was her decision. And, that's how I'm today here with you.
right. And you're very blessed to have a wife who supported your decision, because it's a huge plunge moving from a secure safe environment of the Indian Navy and deciding to kind of settle down in Goa and plunge into the world of magic. So there's huge. It's a VUCA decision. It's volatile. It's uncertain. It's complex. It's ambiguous because not too many magicians actually make it in life. Not too many magicians become the PC Sarkars in India, right? You have yet to have an illusionist in India who has kind of wowed the world. So what is it that inspired you to move from that safe environment of the Indian Navy to a place like Goa and decide to plunge headlong into the world of magic, which is, like I said, so volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So, what inspired you to take that decision? Was it a well thought of choice? Today, I mean, you have like 15 years of hindsight to think about it and reflect on it. So do you think it was a well thought of choice? Do you think it was a good decision, or do you think the struggle continues and you have yet to make a mark? What's been that, what has that journey been like?
Yeah, actually, the decision was very tough to make, and the only thing that made me make this decision is my passion for magic. That, let me tell you very clearly, and there was a lot of risk involved, and I feel that magic was my calling. Now, what is calling? If you close your eyes and if money was not the issue, you don't have to work a single day in your life. You imagine what would you do to pass your time? What would you like to do? So the answer that comes to your mind should be your calling. That's your calling, and if you follow your calling, you don't have to struggle in life. Things will happen automatically because that's the thing you are born for. So when I was in the Navy, though I was serving the Navy with my heart and soul, but I somehow felt that I'm supposed to do something else. And when I when I came in contact with magic, that time I was 33 years old. Today I am 51 years old. When I came in contact with magic, I felt that this is what I must do. This is what I'm born for. And the moment I showed magic to an audience, the way they reacted, so that the audience reaction and the reward that I got from that was the only thing which made me follow my passion. But I met my mentor Edmundo da Cunha, who is a very successful magician himself, and he made me realize that magic can also get you good money. If you're an artist, you can earn good money. I didn't know that before that, so that inspired me more. That let me take a plunge, and if I can also survive as a magician, why not do something which I love? So that's how I decided to leave the Navy and become a magician, and I'm very happy about it. Struggles continue. If people ask me that today, would you advise people to only do magic as your profession? I will say no, never do that. You must have something. Magic should always be a side job. I will not advise anybody to do magic only as a profession, or in fact, any art as a profession, in India especially, because things might not work. So that's what my advice would be. So that's it.
Okay, and why would you say that your advice would be not to really pursue your art or pursue your passion to do something creative? What is the reason that you feel like that? And I must confess, the reason I'm asking you that is because I don't necessarily agree with you on that. But I will share my what is the reason for my disagreement later. But what is the reason that you would say that?
The reason is that, see, as a youngster, suppose you are 21 years old, okay, and you have a passion for music.
Hmm.
Example, you think you are a very good guitarist, or you think you are a very good violinist. But when you come on ground and when you start performing for money, you realize that no, you're not that good,
Mm,
because
mm.
people will not give you money for nothing.
Right.
They will hear your violin. If you say, hey, I'm Clifford, and if some person comes to your house to have a cup of tea, can I play you some violin? They say, yeah, yeah, why not? Let me hear your violin. But if you say, yeah, I need, just give me $10,000 and I'll play the violin. They say, no, 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 thanks, we don't want that.
Mm,
So
mm.
so if you want to be paid, you have to be good. So when you are 21, 22, you don't know how good you are. You might have the passion in you, but you might not turn out very good. It has to be inborn. So I would strongly recommend not to focus on an art as a main job. Become a professional in any other field. But if you are good at your art, playing the violin, playing the guitar, you will break the barrier. You will leave your main job, go to that art, and you will make a living. But don't start with it. That's my experience, because when I left the Navy, first 3 years was very tough for me. Luckily, I I have got pension, but it was very tough. I used to perform for pretty money. I used to take time out to work 7 days a week, and it's not easy to rise, and you have to be talented. So if you are doing it like as a sole breadwinner, it will not work. Number one is you will charge less money. If I say, okay, I'm charging so and so money, you say, no, 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 please bring it down. I'll give you this much. You will take that low rate because you are depending on it, and with that, you'll never come up. Your standards will never come up because you'll go down for lower artist fees. So I would not recommend to take it as a main branch totally.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that first of all, understand your strengths, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you understand your strength.
And understand your shortcomings.
Correct.
Understand if you are truly talented, right?
Yeah,
Failing which you may be living in a world of delusion, right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Because nobody is going to listen to your music or your creativity if it is not really impressing them.
Yeah, nobody will pay you for nuts.
Absolutely, right? And that is what you're saying. And
Yeah.
I completely agree with you on that count. I completely agree with you on that count because in 2007, an interesting experiment was done by the world's greatest violinist. His name is Joshua Bell. And Joshua Bell performed in the subway of New York, right? He was playing on a violin called the Stradivarius, which costs a few $1 million.
Wow.
All right. And he was performing like this, like a regular street musician, busking in the subways of New York, right? And no one paid attention to him. No one paid attention to him. Out of all the hundreds of commuters going through that subway into the
Correct.
railway, the metro line, right?
Yeah.
A few children paid attention to him, and a few people paid attention. Altogether, he collected, I think, around $40 or maybe lesser than that, right?
True.
And in the week later, he was performing in one of the biggest auditoriums of New York where tickets were sold for hundreds of dollars. So, yes, I agree with you because the world is a very cruel place. One, the world does not appreciate your talent. Second, the world does not understand potential because we mostly focus on performance. We don't focus on potential. And therein lies the plot. And the reason I asked you to clarify that is because you can never think that you're the best or perfect in anything, right? And that's why I always say it is not your talent, competence, degrees, percentage, performance that takes you places and beyond. What takes you places and beyond is your character. Do you have that character? Do you have that commitment? Do you have the devotion? Do you have the discipline? Do you have the dedication to understand that this is what I want to do and I want to keep excelling in my art or craft or creative field that I choose and move for continuous improvement? It's what you've done, right? I'm sure that when you started 15 years ago, after deciding to leave the Navy, your magic must have been very basic and very mediocre. But today you hold an entire audience of thousands of people in an auditorium. And I've seen you perform because you performed for a few clients of mine, right? Uh, so you holding that entire mass along with your magic. So do you want to tell us that were you as good to, as good as you are today? Were you as good around 15 years ago when you started? And what were those disheartening moments in your struggle as a musician where you felt you should actually kind of give this up, but you persevered, you stayed committed, and you kept continuously improving? Please share that journey with us for the learning of all the youngsters who want to pursue the creative arts, because that's the disagreement. That I don't agree that creative arts don't pay you. It's just that you have to understand that you have to keep excelling in creative arts and keep getting better, continuously improve, so that you're adding and creating value for the audience. So tell us, how was it when you started 15 years ago to now when you hold a huge audience of thousands of people and mesmerize them with your magic?
Yeah. So what you do initially when you do the magic, initially when you are new, so you think the magic is going to, get the people hooked on,
Mm,
but it is not so. The magician is the magic. You have to, excel in communication skills. You have to excel in audience control. You have to control the entire audience. So that requires experience. In the beginning, we don't know it. We are just doing the trick, thinking that the audience will, get hooked on. But there are so many other factors which come into play. Initially, of course, I was not as good as I am today. and it's mainly the confidence level. You should have high confidence on yourself on stage. So that cannot come overnight. It takes time. Initially, I used to be very scared to go on stage. I couldn't speak very confidently. But slowly I picked up, and I mean, 15 years hence, yes, today I can blow up any audience because I have the confidence. I know that I can speak well, I can connect up. So finally, what I learned is it's not the magic trick. It is me who has to, do the magic, and it is me who has to control the audience. Uh, that's it. So it doesn't happen overnight. It will slowly happen. And today, yes, I control 2,000 people in a show, which was not possible 15 years ago at all.
Absolutely. And I completely agree with you, because I've seen you doing that. And that's the big life lesson for all the people who are watching, that you can never think that you're perfect or the best in whatever you do. You have to continuously improve and keep pursuing excellence. You can never pursue perfection or think that you'll become perfect. If you're perfect, you're in the box. So always stay out of the box, keep continuously improving. The Japanese call it kaizen, right? And remember this one thing, that it is not your competence or talent that takes you places or beyond. It is your character to stay committed to your craft, to your art, to your creative pursuits that takes you places and beyond. So that's where I agree with Clifford. And Clifford, thank you for sharing those insights. So coming to your book, Clifford, I mean, very interesting that you kind of decided to write this book and completed this book during the isolation. And I like the title, Discover the Magician in You. Use the art of magic to transform your life. So, what inspired you to write this book? To tell you a little about what inspires me to write books, I tell true stories of real heroes in my Karma Kari books, right? Because I feel that I need to be an historian to unsung, uncommon, unheard heroes whose stories never get told in newspapers or magazines. They never get awards, and that's how I was inspired to create the Karmavir Awards,
Okay.
to mainstream, reward, and recognize unsung, unheard, and uncommon heroes. And that's what I've been doing for the past 2.5 decades now. And then I write all stories of people who kind of, with their heroic acts, actually offer life leadership and learning to learn lessons for people who read about them or people who watch their stories, like Dashrath Manji, whose movie inspired millions, right? We were the first to break Dashrath Manji's story. In fact, Dashrath Manji is the man who inspired the Karmavir Awards, and you are one of our Karmavir Chakra Award recipients. So that's what I do. I tell true stories of real heroes. So what is your inspiration behind this book? What inspired you to write this book? Was it just because you were sitting idle at home that you decided to write the book, or is there some deep motivation to write this book? Because that slogan, use the art of magic to transform your life, says a lot, and yet needs to be unpacked and unboxed. So over to you, Clifford.
Actually, I wanted to always write a book, but I didn't know what to write.
Hmm.
So I said, how can my magic be useful to others? I'm a performer, I'm entertaining people. So during the pandemic, I wanted to write once or twice. Started writing a few things, but it didn't work out. Then I left it. So just 3 months ago, I was thinking again, I should write a book. And I realized that, in 18 years that I have performed magic in, magic has given me so much, not as an artist, but as a human being. So I thought that, in the 18 years that I have performed magic, I have not met many people who are at least, doing magic as a hobby. Very
Hmm.
few people I have met, who do magic as a hobby. Why not, I write a book so people get inspired to do magic and use the art of magic to transform their lives. Now, how will they transform their lives? Let me give you an example. You do a magic trick to somebody. If you don't know, you meet a person, in a shop, or you generally say, would like to see a trick, and you perform a magic trick for that person. Uh, Believe it or not, even after a year, when you meet that person, you don't have to introduce yourself. That magic trick gets stuck in his head, and he remembers you. Hey, you're the same guy who showed me a trick, right? In the coffee day, right? That is the power of magic, and I want the inspiration for me to write this book is to bring bring that magic moment to you as an audience. Now you don't do magic, right? So I wanted you to feel this, at least once. And my books have got very simple magic tricks, huh? So anybody can do it. You don't require skill, but they are very powerful magic tricks. So if you experiment with that, you might stumble, on that wow factor. You might stumble on that particular element that, how magic can change you. And you'll find the difference when you start performing magic. So I have not read a book like that. All the books I have read on magic is basically teaching magic, how to do the magic. That's all. But it doesn't specify how magic can change your life. So that's exactly what I've done in my book. I have made you see the world through the lens of a magician, how the world looks when you are a magician. So that's what I've done in the book.
Excellent. That sounds like a plot, and I'll dive deeper into that a little later. Uh, you know, uh, that reminds me, because as you were speaking about the book and how you started writing the book during the pandemic, during the pandemic isolation again, Clifford, I all live events came to a standstill, right?
Yeah,
And because all live events came to a standstill, independent performers, if I may call myself a performer, since I'm a professional speaker,
of course you are.
our life came to a standstill. And of course, for me, it was easier to adapt because it's easier doing online coaching or online speaking, because all I need to do is stand in front of the camera and figure out how to inspire people through a camera, because the live connection and bonding is not there. The learning
True.
by osmosis with human bonding is not there. And I figured that out immediately within a month or so, which so March, April, May is when I remember it was, I think, April end, when I did my first big talk online, which was just like around a month after the lockdown began. And
Awesome.
of course, I had to kind of reinvent and recreate myself, because how do you engage an audience of 2,000 people? The first talk I did was for a pharma company, around not 2,000, 3,000 people who joined in from the world over, right?
Crazy.
And it happened. But for you to do magic tricks, because magic is all about illusion, right? Magic is all about shifting people's attention from the reality, and using illusion to kind of trick them, right? So that must have required a lot of reinventing. Do you want to share with us your experiences? Because here again, nature posed a challenge to you, where you could have been left high and dry without any livelihood for the 2 years and more, in case the pandemic had continued. And I'm sure that there must have been some anxiety for you at that time. So how did you go about reinventing yourself at that time?
Yeah. So what happened? All the live entertainment stopped. Now
Right.
we had to, start doing magic through the computer, which I couldn't imagine in my dreams that I can perform magic through a computer. But then, as time passed, doing nothing was really getting frustrating, and I said, no, I have to, devise methods of performing across the computer.
Hmm.
Now, how to perform across the computer? If I show you something here and I do this, you will have a doubt because you are watching me in 2D, firstly, two dimension.
Right.
This guy has done something wrong. You'll not, the impact will not be there. But if I tell you, Mr. Jerry, take a pack of cards, just pick up your pack of cards, and you pick up a pack of cards, and then I tell you to pick a card in there in your room, and then I do the magic, then you will get hit, right?
Right.
So that's exactly what I did. I made a concept that all the effects will happen either when you say it or what you do. You're going to control the whole show.
So
So doing that was,
you have actually passed on the ability to
yeah,
create that illusion
yeah.
into the hands of the audience.
Correct. So then it shook the people because if you got a pack of cards, you take a card, put it down, and the magic happens. You're shocked. How is it happening here? And this guy is doing it across in Goa, and I'm here. So
Right.
so
Right. So
so those
how
concepts.
many other magicians have done this?
Yeah, frankly telling you, there were very few in India, hardly any, because there was a lot of demand for online shows, and there were very few people who were doing this.
Right.
I can count on the tips of my fingers. Even the magicians who are no good magicians were not getting into this Zoom thing, but very few.
Yeah,
Was not getting.
yeah. Because I have studied magicians around the world, just to prepare for this talk, and I realized that not too many. I think just one or two
Yeah.
around the world who specialized in this, and you figured all this on your own.
You know what? Whatever show I used to do, I just worked those shows out. with
Right.
this, and I revolved with this show. None of the tricks are bought from anywhere. It's all imagination that okay, let me
Right.
try this out, let me try that out.
And you transfer the power of that magic into the hands of the audience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
In fact, my book also has one trick which teaches the audience how to do magic through the computer. One of the
Right.
tricks are that also.
Excellent, excellent. And I remember in October when you did a magic show for the good folks of Kogoport,
Yes, live.
the live
We were
one.
together.
I think there were a lot of things that you learned from the online performances which you
Yes,
used in that room. Correct me if
a
I'm wrong.
100%, 100, because a lot
Right,
of concepts can be used live as well. Yeah,
right, right. And that's how you keep continuously learning and improving. Right.
true, true.
So if I had to ask you, what is the central takeaway of your book? What would that central takeaway be?
Central takeaway would be that my central you are going to do magic when you buy my book, okay?
Okay.
And when you do magic, you will see the change in life, how your life changes because you perform magic. You will suddenly find yourself to be a people's magnet. You walk into the room again, and they'll say, "Hey, Jerry, show us another trick, please." 100% that's going to happen with you. You are going to get the benefits of magic, which I got through my book because my book has got very simple effects. Anybody can do it. In fact, there is a mind reading effect where you can, you can reveal the pin of a ATM card of a audience in my book, but it's very simple effect. So you got a lot of takeaways in my book to, transform your life through magic.
Right. Excellent. So I look forward to reading the book and learning more magic, which reminds me that you also started teaching magic during the pandemic,
Yes.
during the times of isolation, because you started teaching children and even grown-ups magic. How was that experience as a teacher? Yet another role and responsibility that you mastered to move from being a magician and illusionist to becoming a teacher, a coach, a mentor. So how was that experience?
Before the pandemic, people used to, call me up and say, I want to learn magic. So I said, I stay in Goa. When you come here, I can teach you. But that never happened. But the moment pandemic came, Zoom came, this coming to Goa barrier broke, So I could teach magic to anybody in the world. And then I realized that, wow, that's a fantastic tool. And another product of mine came up that is magic courses. And I started teaching magic to people, even magicians who wanted to increase their level of magic took courses from me. So that's how I transformed into a teacher because I was actually doing nothing, hardly any shows, and it was, very, very boring. So I said, no, let me start teaching magic. And I took classes every Sunday on Book My Show, even on live Book My Show, I used to perform. So all these things came because of the pandemic. So that's how it happened.
Right. So you continuously evolve and improve no matter what challenges life throws at you, right?
True, sir. True, true.
So when you're served lemons, figure out how to make good lemon juice is what you're saying. Okay, okay, excellent. That's a great life lesson for all our participants who are watching us on Facebook Live. So now, Clifford, if I had to ask you to read out a couple of paragraphs from your book that would touch the lives of the audience who are watching us on Facebook Live.
Mhm.
What are those paragraphs, and would you please read them out from your book for us?
Actually, I would read a quote. I would read a quote first, and then give you like a gist of the book. That is what I would propose. So basically, one of the quotes that I have in the
Please go
book.
ahead. Whatever you want to read out. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
leave it
yeah.
to you.
So I like this quote very much, and I have put it in the book. It says, "Those who don't believe in magic will never find it." It is by Ronald Dahl. So this is one of the quotes that I have put. And as far as the book is concerned, my book has got 9 real life characters in it. It's basically a non-fiction book because I'm teaching you something, but it has got 9 non real characters, and these characters are actually in my life. Huh? I know these people.
So
Uh,
who are these 9 characters?
yeah, so these 9 characters are there is a doctor in it
Okay,
who is actually in the Indian Navy today, still
okay,
in the Indian Navy. There is a dance choreographer, Mr. Gautam, who has been a student of mine during the pandemic. And each of these characters do magic, okay? And I have made each story, real story of these people who actually do magic in their life to teach people how magic is going to affect them.
right.
There's another character who's a indigo pilot, and he's a retired naval officer. He does magic. He loves magic.
Mm-hmm.
There is a storyteller who's my classmate called Aarti Jain, who stays in Doha now. So
Mm-hmm.
she's in the story. There is a restaurant owner, and you know him, Pepper's owner, Romel, who loves magic. So
Right.
he's in the book. He's one of the characters. There is a teacher called Neha Mathur, who is a childhood friend of mine. She's a class teacher in school, and she teaches 11th class history, and she uses magic, to keep the crowd a little focused on history, because history is a boring subject.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is a corporate sales executive called Monica. She
Mm-hmm.
also is a real life character. And at the end, it is my story, that is Commander Clifford Parakh, who's the last character in the book. So that's how the book goes.
So humble and modest to keep yourself as the last character.
Because my trick is the best one, so I said let me keep it in the end.
Ah, so the best, so the best for the last is what I'm hearing you say. All right, brilliant. So, are there any other quotes that you wanted to read out from the book?
So not as such. I don't have many quotes. I basically have this quote, and my book is a very interesting story. So it'll keep you hooked on, because I have put story. I read your lovely mail about storytelling.
Right.
I wish I read it before I wrote I wrote the book, but it was very very interesting. But
Right.
certainly I have put storytelling, because I before I did the book, I took a little bit of courses on how to write a book, and then I realized that if I don't write a
Ah,
story,
and that's the journey that I'm going to discuss next.
yeah, yeah,
What is
yeah,
the journey of writing a book and telling a story? But before
yeah.
that, let's share this life lesson with all our young friends and participants who are watching us on on Facebook Live. And I disagreed on one point with Clifford Parakh that you cannot pursue your creative talents and think about monetizing them. Well, I don't agree with that, because like Clifford from Dehradun, I have another dear friend from Dehradun whose name is Bobby Cash, right? And I think what I do agree on with Clifford is that if you're committed to the craft, if you're committed to the art, if you're committed to that creative pursuit, you have to decide to excel. You have to decide to continuously improve. And the science, the Japanese call it ikigai, which is basically the what is the crux, what is the gist of what you love to do, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what are you good at, what is that intersection of all this, right? Your passion, your mission, your vocation and profession, and that becomes your ikigai. And I think people, I don't know if you know Bobby Cash, Clifford.
I
uh
know him very well. I know him
yeah.
very well.
So when I first met Bobby, which was like almost around 2 decades ago, or 22 years ago. I just moved to Delhi from Bombay. I was I was a co-founder in a startup which was doing media and entertainment, producing music and movies. And I met Bobby Cash in a hotel called
Yeah, you
Intercontinental, and
told me. You told me.
and when I heard him playing, I was like, wow, this is like, one man playing is like like you're listening to an orchestra. You're like listening
Superb.
to a philharmonic, right?
True,
and
true, true.
and so talented, and yet I used to get irritated because I kept meeting Bobby many times after that, and I used to get irritated when people used to ask him to sing Hindi movie songs without realizing that they were in the presence of a talent who
Yes,
was
yes.
going to really fly and touch the lives of a global audience.
True, true.
And I
Absolutely.
remember the first big concert where he performed was the Sound of the Sea, which was organized. I had created Sound of the Sea in 1995, and then I did it for 5 years in Bombay at the Gateway of India. It was the
True,
first
true. I met him. I met him there also, sir.
at the first it was the first concert in India to be done around a national monument. And i
Awesome.
try i tried to revive it in 2003, because in the year 2000 I moved to Delhi, and Bobby was one of the performers. And then, like this year, the rest is history, because there were
History.
some documentary filmmakers who saw him there,
Yeah,
decided to
yeah,
make
yeah.
a documentary on him,
Yeah.
which was titled One in a Billion. And today
True.
Bobby Cash performs with the who's who of the country music legends
Totally.
around the world, right? But he was committed to his craft, he was committed to his art, he was committed to his creative excellence. And even today he keeps learning to play new instruments, he keeps trying different styles. He is very humble about his art and craft and talent and God's gift, if I may say, which he is blessed with, and does not ever let that arrogance go to his head that he's one of the big legends today. He stays humble, stays grounded. And I think that is very important, to stay grounded and keep continuously improving. And that is what Ikigai is all about. So that's a life lesson for all of us, not just people who are pursuing their creative talents or crafts and arts, but for anybody and everybody in this world, we need to find our Ikigai. And with that, Clifford, I want to invite you now to tell us about the process that you followed to write the book, because there's a process of storytelling, right? And this uh, storytelling kind of process that you're going to share with us is probably going to help a lot of aspiring writers, youngsters, and students in schools and colleges, because this part we are going to take through our storytelling fellowship into schools and colleges. So there's an old book by Joseph Campbell called The Hero's Journey. I've shared this PowerPoint with you, right? The hero's journey basically has 12 points,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
And 4 parts, right? And those are your 4 parts and 12 points. And the 12 points are the ordinary world, the call to adventure, the refusal, approach, ordeal, reward, road back, atonement, and return, right? So if we had to kind of apply this, like I mean, if you see the slide over here, this is
Yeah.
the hero journey being applied to a book, a classic called To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, where Atticus Finch, who's a lawyer, a white lawyer, staying in a place in Alabama,
Yeah.
is living with his family. He's a single parent living with his 2 kids, and then the call to adventure happens where a black man who has been accused of rape requires a lawyer to represent him, and the refusal is that uh, if a white man decides to represent a black man, there could be a lot of consequences for my family, because in the good old days in places like Alabama, the Ku Klux Klan was huge, and anybody who was white or black who tried to kind of support blacks was looked down upon, and the Ku Klux Klan would come looking for you, right? So the refusal, and then he finds a mentor, a healer, a helper who helps him to understand that, hey, you should take that plunge, you should take that step. Now, if I had to kind of apply this to you, for me, the call to adventure is moving from the Navy to becoming an illusionist, becoming a magician. The refusal, will it work? Will it not work? I have a family to take care of, because one of the values that you spoke about is you're a family man, because it clashes with pursuing your passion and fending and contributing to the family. So, how would you kind of uh, share with us your ideas, your process that you follow to write your story in this book, right? Because yours is the ninth story, like you said. So, what is the process in those short stories? Because every book, every story has a hero, a villain, and a victim. So, what is that process? And can you kind of help us to understand that, so that all our young storytellers, aspiring storytellers, can gain from your process and the steps that you took to write your book? Because you even mentioned that you took a course in storytelling and how to write a book. So please share those thoughts with us.
Yeah. What I did was basically I took a Udemy. Udemy is a site where you can learn a lot of things. Udemy.
Hmm.
So I went there and I took 3 courses on how to write a non-fiction book. I studied about that, and then my purpose of my book was to teach, to make the audience perform magic, so that they realize, how useful magic can be to them. That was the purpose of the book.
Hmm.
And if I start teaching magic and say, okay, take a card, it will become very boring, and I don't know if people will read the book. So then I realized that yes, I have to, make it interesting. So people go through the book and they reach the end of the book. Otherwise, the book will not be useful. So what I did, I put 9 characters. The last character is me. I'll tell you my story about that shortly. And each character, now the story, the focus is to teach you the magic, but at the same time make the story interesting. The fact that they are real characters is the first interesting story in this, because they are real people in my life. And in the beginning of the book, I have written who these people are, how they met me. So, for example, I take the example of Gautam, who's a dance choreographer, who's in Goa today. He in that story, the story opens up with him winning an award in with his team dancing troupe, and in that story, before he wins the award, because they are practicing so hard, people are really exhausted. So he inspires his team, by telling them, okay, let's take a break and let me show you an experiment. And then he does a trick for them. And in that trick basically is a prediction for his team that who's going to be the best dancing troupe in the year 2023. And he puts 15-20 papers in which his dancing troupe is predicted as the best, dancing troupe in India in 2023. So by that, they get very inspired and then they start practicing again, and that's how they win the award. So I have made these stories with real life characters, and my story at the end is the where I'm in a ship where I'm a missile firing officer, and that is the story where I'm going to fire this, uh, the historic missiles, two missiles which I fired. And that's the story where I'm practicing with my men, and then we get exhausted and the men go away to their barracks, and we come back to the wardroom, and I start showing magic to another naval officer there who comes from outside, and I explain the audience that how magic has helped me to connect with different types of people, my sailors who are down below, my officers who are counterparts of mine. That I want to bring it to the audience that how magic has connected me to different levels of people. When I started magic as a naval officer, I used to wonder, yeah, will people laugh behind my back if I show them magic? But it did not happen like that. It worked as a charm for me to connect with people and people to get closer to me, because I broke all the barriers of ego. Because when I'm showing magic, I'm just laughing with them. So those are the benefits I've shown in my story, and each story has its own twist and turn, and there is a climax and an anti-climax, and there is a loser and a winner there, and how the story ends with victory always. So that's the nutshell of it, Mr. Jerry.
Thank you, Clifford. Thank you for sharing that process with us. It's even helped me about how I can adopt the process that you adopted for my next book. Thank you for sharing that. And I completely liked what you said. You need to surrender your ego. If you truly want to pursue your passion, you cannot be concerned about what the world is going to think or whether the world
Yeah.
is going to laugh at you, because it's a huge plunge to go move from being a naval officer to becoming a magician, right? But you are pursuing your passion today, you're living your dream today. And I think that's the big life lesson for all of us to learn, that if you truly want to do something, don't bother about the world, right? Figure out what is your ikigai, what makes you happy, what makes you tick, because the world can keep laughing at you. And it's like the world laughed at Dashrath Manjiki. You will cut a mountain with a hammer and a chisel. What an idiot you are. Complete delusional idiot, right? But he cut the mountain with a hammer and a chisel, working 22 years, 10 hours every day. One hammer, one chisel. He cut an entire mountain so that people could cross that mountain on time to get to the nearest healthcare
Hospital.
center, so
True.
that nobody else lost any of their family members, like he had lost his spouse, his wife,
Powerful.
because he
True,
couldn't
sir.
cross that mountain on time.
True.
So don't worry about the world, surrender your ego, stay grounded. And that's a great life lesson to conclude this talk with, to conclude this conversation with. Clifford Parakh, always a pleasure learning with you, always a pleasure connecting with you. uh, uh, I met Clifford, just to share with all the people in the audience. I met Clifford at Peppers, which is a restaurant in Margao, uh, which serves authentic Goan cuisine. And I was there with our family, my mom, my spouse, my two children, and Clifford was performing magic over there. And when he came to our table and performed some magic, uh, the boys loved him. Our two boys loved him, and we said, okay, great, thank you so much. And then I just started chatting with Clifford and realized that here is a person who was a naval officer turned illusionist. And after listening to his story, I got in touch with him around 2 months later, and I said, Clifford, we must nominate you for the Karmavir Chakra award that we've instituted in partnership with the UN, so that more people are inspired to pursue their passion and chase their dream and live their dream, right? Because in this country, we need to change mindsets that don't look down on any profession, don't look down on the arts, don't look down on the crafts, because people can make a living and a livelihood from their arts and crafts too. You don't just have to become an engineer and a doctor to live your dream and to live your life. And that's how we got Clifford into the Rex Karmavir Global Fellowship, and we stay connected as a Silver Chakra Award recipient. Clifford, I want to announce to you today that we just opened nominations earlier this week on the 23rd of March, which is Shahidi Divas, as a tribute to Shahid Bhagat Singh, Shahid Sukhdev, and Shahid Rajguru. And now we are planning to open nominations every month till we have the next live award ceremony in November, on
I'll
25th,
be there.
26th, and 27th November.
I'll be there, sir.
And besides upgrading you and graduating you to the gold medal, we also want to nominate Radhika for all the support that she gives to you and for being a hero in her own right, because it takes a lot of courage to agree to walk that path less trodden, because if not for the family support, you wouldn't have been the illusionist that you are today. And we also want to award Kevin for all the good work that he's been doing during the pandemic. So very few families, whole families, have received the Karmavir awards. So this year you're one of those whole families, you, Radhika, and
Thank you, sir.
Kevin.
Thank,
So I
thank
want
you.
to
Thank you.
announce that today. But yes, the formal announcement will happen next week when we have the nomination event online. So we will reach out to you about your nomination. And thank you so much for your time once again. Great learning experience. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Namaste and have a great evening.
Thank you, sir. Lovely meeting you. Bye, sir.
Pleasure. My love and regards to Radhika and Kevin. And to all the participants on Facebook, please do go and buy the book, Discover the Magician in You. It's going to launch soon. It's going to be available on Amazon. Please do buy the book, learn some magic, and support the magic that Clifford does. Signing off, sir.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
sir. Good night, sir.